Okay, so let's start, guys, today's class. As in the first class, we have discussed about JDK, and also we have discussed about JDK architecture, right? So basically, inside the JDK, we have seen that we have JRE, and inside that JRE, we have JVM. Right? These three components are there that we discussed in the first class, right? So from this class, first we will start the setup for the ZDK in our local machine. And also we will install the Eclipse editor. And then we will move to the Java basics. Java basics means in Java basics, we will cover so many topics, but for today's, we will only cover. So first we will write the hello world program, right? And then second we will discuss about the comments in Java. And then third we will discuss the variables. And the fourth is we will discuss the data types. And the fifth we will discuss the operator in Java. So these are the target for today's class that we are going to discuss. So first we will start from setup, the JDK setup and Eclipse installation, right? So the first step to do for the JDK installation and JDK setup, let's share my the computer screen so that I can show you the steps. Okay, so first thing, you guys have to go to the Google and have to search for the download JDK, right? Just search for the download JDK for Windows. And on the oracle.com, just click on this oracle.com. So here scroll down and you will get the JDK versions 23 and JDK 21, JDK 17, right? So here you have to go to the Windows section. If you are using the Windows machine, then definitely you will go to the, and then you have to download this uh, MSI file, right? MSI stands for Microsoft Installer. So for Windows, you must have to, download this MSI file. So once you download this MSI file, then you just need to, double click on this MSI. I have already downloaded it. So this is the JDK that I have downloaded. So once you double click it, it will automatically, install the JDK inside your local machine. After installing this JDK, you have to simply, download the Eclipse editor. So you have to write here download Eclipse, right? Just write down this download Eclipse and just this eclipse.org website you can see. Just click on this and you will, find the link to download that 60 WOP 4-bit uh, that Eclipse version. So once you click on this download, the file will automatically gets downloaded in your system. After download, you just need to, double click on this application file and, you will have that Eclipse editor in your local. So now, as you can see, I have both the things, means the JDK and Eclipse in my local system. So let me run it and just write down the first hello world program. Okay, just a second, guys. Okay, so first let me, start this Eclipse application. Okay, so once you open the Eclipse editor in your local system, then it will look like this. So first thing, right, if you want to write your first program, then you must have to create first your Java project. Okay, so here you can find the options to create a Java project, create a Maven project, right? Create a project and import project. So these are four options to create projects, right? So you can go from file as well, and from file you can create the projects from new, right? From new, and then you can go to create the Java project. So I'm just going to create the Java project. So just click on, just name it the Java, name it the, someone is speaking, right? So first write down the project name. So I am writing here first project. Okay, first project, and just do the finish. It will create a project here, as you can see, first project. And now you have to, create a class. So right click on it and just go to the new and create class. Right here, I will create a class hello world, right? And if you want to include the main method, then just check it and just finish it. So it will create the hello world. I have two hello words. So let me delete first one. Okay. So this is the hello world class. You can see here the class. I will let you know the class and methods and objects in later classes. But for now, just consider these steps to write down your first program, right? So inside the main method, just write down system dot out dot println, right? Once you write this system dot out dot println and apply the parenthesis, whatever you write inside the parenthesis, right, it will print on the console hello world, right? So this is the syntax to print the things on. So there's a spelling mistake, println, right? After writing the program, you have to, save this. After saving, there is a button, run button, right? It's saying run hello world. So just click on it. You will see the output here, right? Hello world. Okay, so this is the simple hello world program using Java. So this is happen once you install the JDK, and it's a Eclipse, as I told, right? It's a Eclipse editor. Inside that I'm writing the code. So the thing is, as I have discussed, we will discuss the variables and comments in the Java. Okay, I think I have network problem. Just a second, guys. Okay, so this is the hello world program, right? So let's discuss about the Java first. How? Oh my God. Let me share my screen again. So as you can see on the screen, So if I tell you about Java, so Java is a class-based object-oriented programming, right? It's a class-based object-oriented programming. What does it mean that class-based object-oriented? Class-based means in Java, whatever you write, right? You write inside a class, right? Like in this
आशुतोष आवाज ब्रेक हो रही है आपकी।
everything inside
कुछ भी समझ नहीं आ रहा तो कुछ भी
class, right?
यार
So
आशुतोष
आज तो आवाज क्लियर नहीं है भाई, बहुत ब्रेक हो रही है आवाज बहुत ज्यादा।
in Java,
आशुतोष कुछ नहीं आशुतोष
आ रहा है सर, लाइट आ गई है, फिर से कनेक्ट हो रहा है। इस टाइम पे लाइट परेशान करती है ना, कटती ज्यादा है, कट होती है।
नोएडा में यही दिक्कत है, बहुत ही ज्यादा लाइट आती है।
हाँ जी,
यस सर
गुड मॉर्निंग
आवाज
सर।
आ रही है?
गुड मॉर्निंग सर, एकदम ताजी ताजी आपकी आवाज आ रही है।
ताज़ी ताज़ी आवाज आ रही है।
अरे अब आ गई, लाइट आ गई ना।
हम्म,
अभी तो आवाज ताजी ताजी आएगी ही अब।
दोपहर में लग रहा है रिफ्रेशमेंट हो गया।
क्या भाई?
रिफ्रेशमेंट हो गया
रिप्लेसमेंट हो गया?
आपका।
अरे भाई मेरा तो बहुत ज्यादा रिफ्रेशमेंट हो गया है। लाइट चली जाती है तो हालत खराब हो जाती है, उतने पसीना उतने सब कुछ, नेट भी स्लो। सेकंड स्टार्ट करते हैं। Okay, so I was telling that Java is a class-based object-oriented programming language, right? So What does it mean? The class means whatever you write in Java, you will write inside the class. Like here for the Hello World program, I have, created this class Hello World. Inside this Hello World class, I have written this system out, this main method and this system out dot println to print the Hello World, right? So let's understand the object. What is the object, right? So the class is first object is being created from the class only. So I'll come to that. So first thing, the class is, just assume it, the class is your original document. It's your original document and object is a copy of that same document. Copy of the document. What does it mean? So everyone, you all have done your high school, right? So you have only one mark sheet and certificate for that particular high school. So if anywhere your mark sheet is required, then what you do? You just do a copy of that mark sheet and will apply to that copy. You will never send that original document to anyone, right? Because that is your original document. So same concept applies here. Your class is your original document. So whenever you need your documents, you just simply create an object and will, use that object for any purpose, right? If high school mark sheet is required, definitely you will, do the copy of that high school mark sheet. If intermediate is required, then you will do the copy of that intermediate. Same thing applies in the programming. You might have different classes. For all the classes, you can create the object. So which class object is needed? You just simply need to create that object. How you create the object for your original document, you make use of printers to create the copy. But in Java programming, in the programming language, how you create the object will let you later. For now, just understand that the object is a class-based, object-oriented programming. So what is the class and what is the object? So class is your original document. That means your blueprint, and object is the copy of that original document. Nothing else. Just make this understanding. So class and object both are, same. The difference is that the class is your original thing and object is the copy of that original things. Nothing else. Okay. So let's move to the topics that we have, discussed in the starting, that we will cover these things. So first topic we have discussed, that we will discuss the comment in the Java programming. So what is the comment, right? Comment simply means something that compiler will ignore. Something that compiler will ignore. Why you write the thing that compiler will ignore? Sometimes you write, some logic in your code. So that does not mean that you are going to execute that code every time, right? Some other person can also use that your logic or can go through that code. So you have to, write the comment, what is exactly your method is doing and what is your, exactly that particular logic is doing. So you write some comment there, right? Similarly, if I write the comment here, so I write here printing hello world, right? Hello world. So this comment is telling that the below line is for printing the hello world. So this is the simple comment, that is the single line comment. So in Java, we have two types of comment. First one is single line comment. First one is single line comment. This comment is known as end line comment. end line comment. What does it mean? So this comment ends once line ends, right? The limit of this comment is till this line. Once this line finish, means this line will end, the comment will end. Means this is a single line comment. So whatever you write after this double slash, compiler will ignore that complete line. Means compiler will not compile that line. It will understand that something you have written is for understanding purpose, not for the coding execution purpose, right? So this single line comment is known as end line comment also, right? So second one is multi-line comment. Multi-line comment, that is also known as traditional comment. Traditional comment, right? These two names are there for this multi-line and single line. So how you write the multi-line comment? Just simply write down the slash star and then star slash. So whatever you write inside this slash star and you know star slash, so that will also be get ignored by the compiler. So compiler will understand that you are writing the comment here. So basically these two types of comments are there in the Java, and it's very simple to write, and you know why we are going to write. So suppose you have written some code, right? You have not written some text, right? You have written some code and you are just putting double slash in front of that line. That code also will get ignored by the compiler. So the compiler will understand by this double slash that this line is completely for the comment. Okay. So this is the concept of comments. Now the time is to move to the variables in Java. Okay, let's remove these things. So what are the variables here? So variables is nothing, it's just a location. What does it mean, the location? So suppose you have some information and you want to, store it locally. So that you will use that variable. So Java programming uses that variable name as a location in the memory. Suppose you have int age, right? It's a variable of type int. Int age. So what compiler does? Compiler will allocate a memory and will reference to this age variable. So this age variable will work as an identity, right? Because it's a memory location. So this will work as an identity. So this is known as identifier. This is known as identifier also, the variable name, right? So here I have written int age, means I am just declaring a variable. The variable name is age. So what compiler does? Compiler will allocate a memory for this variable, and the compiler will, reference this memory location with this variable name. So this variable will work as identifier for this memory location. So the thing is, how much memory compiler will allocate for this variable, right? There might be some limit, because in your local computer there might be, lot of memory. So how much memory the compiler will, allocate for this variable, right? So there are some types of variables in Java. Based on that, compiler will allocate memory for a particular variable. So I think you guys have understanding regarding the variables. What are the variables? So there are different types of variables in Java. We'll look into that. So let's see. First, let's understand what is the smallest unit of memory. So smallest unit of memory is bit. That is 0, comma 1. You guys know that computer is an electronic device. Computer can understand only 0 and 1, right? So smallest memory unit is 0 and 1. That is bit. This is 1 bit. 1 bit, right? Either 0 or 1 is 1 bit. So the first type of variable is Boolean variable. If you initialize or you declare any variable of type Boolean, then compiler will allocate 1 bit of memory for this variable. Boolean flag, let's name it flag. So what compiler does? Compiler will assign flag a memory of 1 bit. This location, the capacity of this flag location memory will be 1 bit, right? That is the smallest. So you can store either 0 or 1 in the Boolean type variable. In the Boolean type variable, so flag can store. Flag can reference either 0 or 1, and there two types of values can be there for the Boolean type of variables. So these are the variables, right? Variable, type of variable. This is the first type of variable. That is the Boolean. So based on the type of variable, compiler will allocate the memory. If you initialize the Boolean, then compiler will allocate 1 bit of memory. So you can store 0 or 1 in this place. At a one time, either 0 will be there or 1 will be there. So if there is a 0, that means the value is false for that Boolean. If 1 is there in the memory location, that means the value is true for that variable. So what is the default value? If you do not assign either false or true, so the default value for this Boolean variable is false. Means the compiler will store 0 here by default for your Boolean variable, right? If you initialize value variable as a Boolean, then compiler, what compiler is doing? Compiler just allocate 1 bit of memory and will assign 0 automatically to that particular variable. That will be your default value. So default value will be the false in Java. To show you, right? If compiler will show you 0, 1, I mean the binary numbers show you, then human will confuse to understand. So here only 1 bit is there, so you are thinking that it's very easy to understand 0 and 1, right? Let me move to the other type of variable, then you will find that 0, 1 is very difficult to understand, right? So if you assign, let me write the code here. So once you write here, suppose I'm initializing this Boolean flag as equals to false, right? So by doing this, what compiler is doing internally, compiler will just allocate this 1 bit memory for this flag and will store 0 instead of this false. Compiler will store 0. You are writing the false, but compiler is storing the 0. If you write the true, then compiler, what compiler does? For the true, the compiler will write 1 on that memory location. So this is the case for the Boolean. Once you declare the Boolean variable, then compiler does these things for you. Okay, let's move to the other cases. So what other cases are? So smallest unit of memory is bit. So greater than this bit, there is a byte. The unit byte. Byte means 8 bit. If you combine 8, 0 and 1, no matter in which pattern, right? If you combine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Right? If you combine 8 bit, then this 8 bit is known as 1 byte. So how many numbers you can, form by using this 8 bit? You can, make 2 की power 8 numbers. Means you can create 2 की power 8 combination of using these 8 bits. So the smallest unit is bit. Second smallest is byte. That byte has 8 bit, means 8 bit means 1 byte. Okay. So the second data type is byte itself. If you initiate or you declare any variable with byte, like here I have used Boolean, then the second one, the variable type means the data type, basically you can say, is byte. Byte means once you use byte, then what compiler does, compiler will allocate 1 byte of memory. 1 byte means 8 bit of memory, will allocate 8 bit of memory, right? 8 bit of memory means you can store number 127 minus 127 to plus 127. Means you can, the number in the binary numbers, you can, create these 8 bit binary numbers from these 127 to 127 minus 127 to plus 127. So these are not important thing. Just you just understand that how much memory the compiler is going to allocate for a particular data types. Okay. So first type is bit, will use for Boolean. And second type is byte. So simply we can say that we use to for the smallest integer, right? And the third one is sort. Sort means 2 byte. It takes storage of 2 byte. If you need, right, if you are going to store some data that needs 2 byte of storage, then you use sort data type. Then you use sort data type. So fourth one is int data type. Int has 4 byte. 4 byte means, this is the 32 bit, such a big, such a big space. So you can create 2 की power 32 combinations of 0 and 1. So here bit is there, right? Bit means 0 and 1. So you can create 32 2 की power 32 combinations of 0 and 1. That will be a big number. So suppose take an example to understand this byte, sort and int. Suppose there is a requirement to store age of a person, right? Age of a person. Then which variable type, which data type do you use, right? Which data type do you use to store the age, right? So can you assume that no one can live, more than 100 or more than 127 years? So basically, if you use a byte for storing the age instead of int, because int is taking lot of memory, byte is taking short memory. It also stores the integer. Sort is also store the integer, but it's take the memory of 2 byte. But we only need that we are going to store number below 127, right? No one can, live more than 27 years. So basically, if in any requirement, there is a need requirement to store the age. So for saving the memory, for your, for decreasing the complexity of your program, you must have to use this byte data type, store the age. Suppose you have bigger number to store, more than this 27, then you have to use this sort number that has 2 byte. 2 byte, what does it mean? 16-bit. 16-bit means 2 की power 16 combinations, right? Just do 2 की power 16, whatever value is coming, you can store that much of, data inside this sort. And what about int? Int means 2 की power 32, that is 4 byte. 1 byte means 8-bit. So 4 byte means 32-bit. So this is, I have discussed about 4 data types, right? Here, bit, byte, sort, int. So any data type you use to create variable, the compiler will go to assign the same memory that is, decided by the programmer earlier. So if you use the int, then compiler will, allocate this 4 byte of memory for your variable, and will, the compiler will reference that variable with that particular memory location. So that is your variable will work as a identifier. So here 4 type of data type I have, learned. So the fifth one is, suppose our data is something big and we want to, store it locally. So the fifth one is long data type. Long. So long means 8 byte. What does it mean? 8 byte means 64-bit. So 2 की power 64 combinations will be there, right? For 0 and 1. So what I am telling, 0 and 1, because the computer only stores the data in the form of 0 and 1. Whatever you write in your program, compiler will convert, right, that thing into the 0 and 1. Basically, your operating system will do these things. So it will going to store the things in 0 and 1. That's why it, it can make the combination of 2 की power 64 combinations of 0 and 1. That will make use of bit internally, and you seeing that, oh, things are going good. So what compiler internally is doing, it's storing the data into the memory that you allocate for that. So basically we have, discussed about 5 type of data. These 5 type of data, instead of this bit, that means Boolean, that is only for the true and false. These 4 data types are used only for the integer values, right? Only for the integer values. Integer values in Hindi, it's known as Purnank, right? In the Purnank, there should not be any decimal points. So now, what if we have the values with the decimal points, right? So there is a concept. Let me, erase these things. There is a concept with these decimal points. So suppose you are doing a simple calculation. So you will, write down your numbers in this format, or you have something lesser precision numbers. Precision means the number of digits after this 0, after this decimal, right? But in case of scientific programs, scientific uh, experiments, you might have some more precision values, right? You might have some more number of digits after this decimal. So for these things, Java has two data types for storing these decimal points, means that floating points, integers. One is known as double, and second one is known as float. This is stored 64 bit. 64 bit means 8 byte, and this float means 32 bit, means the 4 byte, right? 32 bit means 4 byte, 32 divided by 8 means 4 byte, right? So if you want to store long digits after this decimal point, then you use double, because there is a 64 bit of storage available to store the things. And in the float, only 32 bit. If you have the lesser digits after this decimal point, then you use the float to store the numbers, right? Basically, these are the floating numbers, floating point integers, and earlier we have discussed general integers. So these two types of floating point data types are there in the Java. The double has a storage of 64 bit, that is 8 byte, and float has 32 bit, that is 4 byte, right? So double, if any data type has the 64 bit, that is known as double precision, right? Double precision. You guys know that more more number of digits after this decimal, that means more accuracy, right? So in the scientific calculations, they need these these digits, right? The more number of digits to to reach out the uh, accurate result. So these things are there in Java to use the floating points. So this 32 bit known as single precision, and this 64 bit known as double precision value, right? So I'm not going so much deep in the binary things. So basically these type of data types are there in the Java that I wanted to discuss here. So I think I have discussed 7 type of data that is there, right? So another type of data is there, that is char data type. Char data type stores the character, right? That stores into 2 byte. 2 byte means compiler will allocate 2 byte if you know declare a variable with the char data type. Char data type, if you are declaring any variable with the char data type, right? Suppose I have written here later, so you have to use the single quote for initializing that variable. Means if you have any data that is the char type, char means the character, you have to use the single quote to initialize that variable, to assign the value for that variable. So compiler will allocate 2 byte of memory for your char data type variables. So these are, I think, 7, 8 type of variable data types we have discussed. So these variables, what variables we have discussed: boolean, byte, short, int, long, double, float. These are known as primitive data types. Primitive data types. Primitive means what this primitive means. Primitive means these data types being introduced in the initial phase of Java, right? So these data types are known as primitive data types in Java. So what does it mean, categorizing these data types with the primitive and non-primitive? Because in Java, there are some data type that are non-primitive. Non-primitive means, as I told you earlier, that Java is an object-oriented programming. So you can use object also as a data type, right? You can use an object also as a data type. So that object will not be your primitive, it will be a non-primitive. Means you can use your custom objects to, declare a variable. Means you can make use of your class object to declare a variable in Java. So two types of variables are there, two types of data types are there. One is primitive that we have discussed, and another one is non-primitive that we will discuss in our coming classes. So you have the understanding of object and class. You don't know what is inside the object, right? But you have what is the object, and what is the class, you also know. So these are the things I have discussed. These things, data types and comments and variables. Now the thing is to discuss the operators in Java. What are the different type of operators in Java? We will discuss now. So basically, we have 5 type of operators in Java. So let's see all the operators in Java. So basically, what does these operators? Why we need these operators, right? So let me, share something else. So it's whiteboard is perfect, right? No problem with this whiteboard. Okay. So the time is to discuss the operators in Java. So there are 5 type of operators in Java. So first is, okay, let me share my tablet screen so that I can write in the whiteboard, right? Let me stop it. Okay, guys, so this is all for today's class. For operators, we will discuss in the next class. Okay. So for today's class, this is done for today's class. Okay. Okay. Bye bye.